Thank you. Please be seated. Good evening and welcome to our 22nd commencement ceremony for Problem Solving Court. I know we've got many returning supporters here, but I also know that we have some people here for the first time. If this is your first experience with Problem Solving Court, welcome, and we think you will have an uplifting evening. Problem-solving courts are the most studied and tested evidence-based criminal justice program in this country's history. They've been around some 35 years, and the first one started in 1989 in Miami because a judge down there got tired of sentencing people with addiction issues to prison where they received no help, and they came out into the same environment only to commit more crimes. So he determined there has got to be a way to combine the criminal justice system, which means accountability, with the therapeutic treatment system, which means treatment. And in a nutshell, that's how drug courts were born. Our court has been in existence since 2012, and tonight we will celebrate our 100th graduate. While each ceremony looks slightly different, one thing remains the same. We always open with this message of hope because we recognize some people change. Tonight, you'll hear about 4 recent graduates of this program who've worked tremendously hard to change their entire lives in order to be healthy and to sit here tonight. For Will, Thomas, Matt, and Ann, this evening means that you're no longer accountable to a court of law. You're holding yourselves accountable. They are now in what a former graduate called their third life, the one before addiction, during, and after on your path to a new future. You'll hear a little bit about each one of them. They each came into this program on their own individual journey, and they have spent months, sometimes years, with therapists, sponsors, mentors, peer recovery coaches, case managers, everyone on this team, me. And they've proven to us, but more importantly, they've proven to themselves that they're capable of living in a new way and that they are deserving of the opportunity that they were given. Addiction is a terribly lonely disease. It isolates you. It takes over everything you have. And let's be clear, it's a disease. It's relentless. When it comes for you, it comes for your job, your family, it comes for your health, your self-esteem, your freedom, and probably most important, it comes for your hope. So, the fact that so many of you are here tonight, we all truly appreciate it because it does give everyone here a notion that there is hope. I know that we have friends and family. We have former team members here, possibly. We have some graduates here. And I know we have people who are here for the first time because they believe in the presence of healing and they don't want to miss it. So Will, Matt, Ann's not here. We'll talk about her. And Thomas, look around and see the support system you have. Some of your defense attorneys are here, your arresting officers. They'll be here in the future, not just tonight when things are good, but when things get tough. And they will get tough. But you know what? I think you're tougher. You have learned the necessary tools that you need each day, and I know you're going to use them. So whether you're here for the first time or if this is your 21st time here, whatever brings you here, I know that there's a common belief that we are bound together and that when one person struggles and fails, it impacts others. And when one rises, we all rise. It is a tremendous privilege and opportunity to work with the people in this program and see the changes that take place in their lives. They do the intense work, but it would never happen without the remarkable team sitting behind me. They give endless hours to help guide them, educate them, encourage them, all the while holding them accountable to themselves and to others. So I would like to recognize our team here tonight. I'm going to ask them to stand. We have Barbara Stooksbury, our prosecutor, Bill Nelson, defense counsel. Mr. Payne could not be here tonight. Miss Leroy could not be here tonight. Katie Yazinski is our therapist, and Paula Dranger is another therapist. We have Roxanne Justice, who's our nurse. Holly Grishka is with us from Community Corrections. Sergeant Adam Hannon is with the Sheriff's Department. Ashley Ortega is an intensive case manager. Amanda Collins is a case manager. Carissa Strader is a case manager and our program coordinator. Angie Van Sickle over here is our bailiff. And Steve Irick is Chief Probation Officer in the county, as well as executive producer of all of these events. And I'm pleased to announce that we are filling a spot that's needed filled for a while. We had a void in Michigan City, and Corporal Matt Babcock will be joining us shortly. So we are grateful to have him joining the team as well. You want to stand up? There you go. Okay. Do we have any former team members here? Okay. Could non-judge elected officials please stand so I can recognize you, so we can all recognize you? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Our elected officials support this program in countless ways, not just monetarily. And I know some of you have been to, at my count, 21 graduations, maybe. I think it's important also to recognize the other problem-solving courts that we have in the county and the judges who preside over those. Judge Stahlbrink operates the reentry court. Judge Thorne operates the Veterans Treatment Court. Magistrate Muncie runs the Family Recovery Court. And Judge Havens runs the Mental Health Court, Juvenile Mental Health Court. Judge Oss refers people to us constantly. And the Magistrate Stallworth and Link assist with us in every way they can. So all of these courts operate on the assumption that treatment, education, and accountability are preferable to incarceration for individuals who are appropriate. So I'd like to give all of you a hand as well. So a few words about the team behind me. They each, in their own way, do amazing things to ensure that our participants have what they need to succeed. They do not consider this a job. Honestly, they consider it a calling. They are humble, and I can never truly give them enough credit for the daily work they do. This court would not exist, flat out would not exist without them. And like the starfish story in your program, each person behind me believes the importance of an individual. Saving one means so much more than saving one. It means making sure that a father or mother return to their family. It means an employee is healthy enough to be at work and contribute. A student is ready to learn, which means new doors open for them. Our streets are safer. The cost to taxpayers decreased by not incarcerating individuals who need treatment. The people behind me do what a friend of mine once told me is a valuable measure of a person. They don't strive to make their dreams come true. They strive to make other people's dreams come true. And finally, if I could brag just a moment about this team. Most professions have national organizations that regulate their standards and code of ethics and so forth, and problem-solving courts are no different. The All Rise organization is a huge organization nationally, and they regulate what we do. The chief operating officer of the National Association of All Rise used to work in Indiana, and she was, in essence, in charge of problem-solving courts in Indiana. They are being formed constantly across the state, and when new courts were looking to see, how do we do this, what's a model that we should try to look at, she sent them up to these guys. So thank you very much.
My name is Adam McLean. I'm a person in long-term recovery, which means I've been clean and sober for 3,637 days, thanks to the Coconino County Adult DWI and Drug Court. One of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that I'm in recovery. In 2 weeks, I'll have 10 years. Candidly, I thought I was going to die from my drug addiction. If treatment court wasn't there to intervene, I would have died. I mean, 144 heroin addicts die every day from overdose. I imagine I would have been one of those. I never thought I'd make it past 30, and here I am, 31. If I hadn't been given the opportunity to go into treatment court, I would have been released from prison this fall, and I probably wouldn't have a healthy relationship with my family. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have the career that I have. I wouldn't have the business that I have right now. I was a high school dropout when I pled into treatment court, and now I'm about 4 months away from being a doctor. People used to believe that addiction is this moral failing, but what we need to really come to terms with is the fact that people that engage in these behaviors have a brain disease. They have a substance use disorder. Incarcerating our way out of a health epidemic is just simply not working. And if somebody was sick, we would treat them as if they were sick. If somebody has diabetes, hypertension, asthma, cancer, we develop a treatment plan for that individual, and treatment court does exactly that. It builds a treatment plan around the individual that has a substance use disorder. Truly, the only justice system that we have regarding this that's actually working is treatment court.
At each ceremony, we ask a graduate to come say a few words about their journey beyond the program. Most people who come into the program a little scared, and for some, graduating is almost as scary, knowing that they're leaving this program and not sure what the future looks like. That's why we like to have a former participant come up here and remind these graduates that it's just the start of a next chapter. This is where you actually go out and live the recovery you've earned. This team makes it clear that they will remain available to graduates who may find themselves struggling, even after several years of leaving the program. In the 13 years that we've been in existence, we have found it to be the case that if someone is in trouble and if they want recovery, they will get up, they will dust themselves off, they will reach out for support, reevaluate what happened, and get back on the path. I show you this picture to give you an idea of what recovery actually looks like. If you have no experience with addiction, you might have an expectation that once you commit, that's what it looks like. It isn't a straight line. It isn't perfection. It's progress. And that looks different for every person. We don't make guarantees to participants that recovery will fix their problems, because no one could do that or expect it. We meet them where they are, we get them the help they need, and we celebrate those who never give up their fight. This evening, our speaker is one such warrior. He graduated last year, and in this year, he has accomplished more than some people do in 5 years. Dale has been a tireless member of the recovery community in our county. He's the kind of person everyone needs in their life. Dale's not flashy or boastful about his accomplishments. He's a thoughtful person who observes everything and sees what needs to be done, and if he can, he's going to do it. He's never too busy to give encouragement or guidance to someone who asks him. Dale's the kind of person you want as a neighbor and a friend. It's an honor to know him, and I'd like to ask him to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Judge Friedman. Thank you for everyone being here. I'd like to congratulate all the graduates. Sorry, I'm a little kind of nervous after that, but I just wanted to share over the last year. You're reintroduced with some. A lot of people call them values. Some people call them spiritual principles. That's what I call them. Some people call them morals, because it's like a gift that we misuse, and. So this is out of the big book of it, the big book of NA. It says there is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. That is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. Spiritual principles like honesty and hope and courage. These are the small gifts that problem-solving court allows. It creates an environment where your mindset and your efforts can align on this moral compass, and you can live by these principles. And most importantly, I find my identity in these things, my honesty, my hope. So I have to address. There's certain things that I still have to do. I still go to meetings. Meetings still make sense. My network of people that I've come to know in this program, that network has become my net worth. It's the most valuable thing to me. Let's see. This is another reading that I read almost every day. This is out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's called The Promises. These promises, not only do I feel that they're true for anybody that works a 12-step program, but I feel that these promises are kept through participating in problem-solving court itself. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see our experience can benefit others. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. Excuse me. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they will always materialize if we work for them. I feel that problem-solving court is just another phase, is a phase of our development, and life is just a string of it's different groups, different phases of our development strung together. So the things that I picked up while I was in problem-solving court still are useful to me outside of problems. Today I've been sober 998 days, and that's the first time I've ever done that in my adult life. So I know that problem-solving court not only works, it can work well into the next phase of your development. So there are a couple things that I still use to this day. There are three things that I was taught in a 12-step program to make a part of my life, and trusting God is the first thing. So a good friend of mine had told me about, faith is a little bit different. Like if you picture it, like if you go to the circus and you see a high wire act and you see a guy pushing a wheelbarrow across a high wire line. Now you have faith that guy's going to make it across the line, but if you have trust, you get up there and get in the wheelbarrow. So I've learned to trust God, and that's a big step for me. Another thing is any business that doesn't take a regular inventory will go bankrupt. So I still feel to make me feel useful, I take a regular inventory. It's the act of measuring where you are. It gives you an idea of what areas in your life you need to improve, and what areas of life you're doing good at, because gratitude is something that I have today, and that's a gift. That's another secret gift that was given to me, but through problem-solving court, and I cherish that. And the third thing that I still find useful today is helping other people. It's so important because there's a reciprocity. Not only are you helping them, but they help you in return. So the three things that I still do today that are part of my life is I trust God, and I clean house, and I help others. And as long as those three things has never failed me. And as long as you keep it simple by those three things, your struggles, they're only temporary, and it's like a seawall that holds back the water from eroding the land, and you never have to suffer again because struggles are only temporary. And if I use again, it's a permanent suffering that just I have to endure. So just rely on your network. It's so valuable, and I really appreciate you guys letting me speak today. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
And you thought chairing a meeting was tough, huh? No, thank you. I don't feel so bad about getting a little choked up. Dale, that was beautiful. Thank you. Justice Rush moved to Indiana from Scranton, Pennsylvania as a Purdue undergraduate. And then to properly balance things, she graduated from IU at her law school. She practiced law for 15 years in Lafayette before becoming a Superior Court judge in Tippecanoe County. She presided over that court for 14 years, and while she was judge, she was instrumental in establishing the CASA program and was the driving force in creating a juvenile treatment court in her county. In 2012, she was appointed to the Indiana Supreme Court, and in 2014, her colleagues chose her as the Chief Justice. She was reappointed in 2019 and again last year. She has been a tremendous leader and an innovator for the judiciary in our state. But beyond that, she has established herself as a national leader among her peers. Justice Rush was co-chair of the National Judicial Opioid Task Force, which wrapped up its work in 2019 with a truly comprehensive report. It's a masterful piece of work if anybody's ever interested in reading it. Even with more than 4,000 courts in the country, Chief Justice summarized her comments by saying, "It's an all-hands-on-deck matter." Justice Rush was also involved in the Appalachian Midwest Regional Juvenile Opioid Initiative from 2016 to 2022, and they also generated a very important national report. I think the point that I'm trying to make is that in addition to the significant administrative and legal duties of a state court chief justice, which include presiding over reviewing at least 800 cases every year, Justice Rush has a passion and a dedication to the creation and the survival of all types of problem-solving courts. And she does this because her heart tells her she must. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chief Justice Loretta Rush.
Well, thank you for having me. And I want to tell all of you, you have something special up here in LaPorte. One, every judge is here. Every judge, I do appreciate the treks you make down Indianapolis, having just made one after work today, up here, but they're also leaders in their own right. They are leading committees and commissions not only for the residents of LaPorte County, but really for the betterment of the judiciary. And in talking about the judiciary, we have 1.1 million cases filed in Indiana. Of that, 250,000 are criminal cases, misdemeanors and felons. We have about 100,000 cases involving kids. So when I look at mental health and substance abuse, I don't just look at criminal dockets. I look at an issue that is affecting so many different parts. There's almost not a docket that it doesn't seep into. If you're an employer, it could be a workforce issue. It could be eviction. It could be we have 50,000 grandparents raising their grandkids now, and a lot of that is based on addiction. So it's something we have to do. And I was chief for just like maybe 2 years, and they asked me if I'd chair a national substance abuse task force. First they asked me, do you think we should have one? I said, yes, we should have done this back in the crack cocaine days, right? Shame on us. We let the criminal justice system take over. We didn't look for solutions. We just locked people up, and it wasn't effective. So we did. And, it was really interesting what I learned. And there are, what Judge Friedman was saying, if you go to the National Center for State Courts, we have a website and there's bench cards. And if you're an attorney and you want to school your judge on best practices for somebody going through this, public defenders are like that, look up it, because it says, how do you treat an adolescent? How do you treat a pregnant woman with substance abuse? What are programs that work? What are strategies that work? What do you do with regard to juveniles? But a couple of things that really hit me is I had met with Jerome Adams, who was our Surgeon General before, and going through it, and we talked about what are the levers the criminal justice system what are our levers? We can't solve mental health, right? We can't as a branch of government, but there's a lot of levers we can pull. And do you know what the primary referral source to get people to treatment is? Anybody guess? It's the justice system. We don't go to law school thinking we know best practices. So thank you for all working with us, because we've had to learn how to do this. Because we have 70% of people in jail tonight, have a substance abuse, mental health, or co-occurring disorder. This idea of locking people up, letting them out, locking them up, letting them out, maybe they overdose, but it's just not working. And it's not sustainable. And, the ideas of problem-solving courts really go back 200 some years. When you look at the Indiana Constitution from 1816, do you know what it says about the criminal justice system? It says our criminal justice system should be built on principles of reformation, which is rehabilitation, not vindictive justice. And think about that. We're really good at locking people up. We have 110,000 children in Indiana that have had an incarcerated parent or guardian. But are we good at treating the core issues that bring them in? And those individuals, once you truly understand the dynamics of substance abuse, and we have trained all our judges, became every judge, we had plenary sessions on the science of addiction and mental health, and to understand that it is not a moral failure, it is a disease. And it's a treatable disease. So we're going to punish the crime. You don't get a pass on that, but we need to treat the individual. So the goal for Indiana is really having a people-centered justice system. And I always look, when I sit on a lot of merit selection, I interview judges. I'm always looking for judges that have the hot breath of humanity on their neck. Judge Friedman, you have the hot breath of humanity on your neck, and you are showing that in full spades. I've attended a lot of problem-solving graduations. I testify in front of the legislature, and it's so important. And we did get some historic funding for problem-solving. I told your team you should ask for more, right? When I found out what they were, and what this team up here, and they really are known throughout the state. If you want to know how a good problem-solving court is run and operated, and the camaraderie, and you've got the prosecutor up there smiling, sitting next to the public defender, is you look at that, because it takes that team, and it takes people, and nobody up here is getting rich, just so you know. It's not like, ooh, we're going to get more money. We got another person through to graduate. They do it because their heart's in it. They see the results because, for Matt, Tom, and Will, it's not just you. It's your families. It's your friends. It's the example. So it's not just the three of you and Annie graduating tonight. It's dozens of people that are going to be affected by you. And are you going to have hard times? You're going to have hard times. We all have hard times. You just can't get through this life without hard times and loss. But you did it. And this is hard work. Working through your substance use disorder there's nothing harder. So when you get problems, you think, okay, I can deal with that problem because I just did this. And there's not a lot of people in this room that could do what the three of you have done. Because when drugs get a hold of somebody, they just shackle you up. Are you proud? Yeah, I'm proud of the three of you. I really am. And I'm proud of the entire team that you have. And they do work. And for you county council commissioners, thank you for allowing this. Judges, they're doing this after their caseloads. When I talk about 1.1 million cases, we have 500 judges. Do the math with regard to how many cases the judges have. But they're doing it because they have a heart. When we had a mental health summit, we had a substance abuse summit. Every county sent a team down to say we need to find better ways to get things done. We're always looking for better ways, and we're always looking for suggestions. And I will tell you, a couple weeks ago, I had a problem-solving court graduate in the House chamber at the State of the Judiciary. Every legislator stood up. It was a veteran. I'd been to his graduation and gave them a standing ovation. The governor stood up. Every elected official stood up to praise the hard work done by this individual that was able to graduate. And the fact he, was Employee of the Month at Wabash last month, and he's just doing so many wonderful things. So judges, keep up the good work. Community members, this is a wonderful program that these individuals that work in silos, okay, I'm a probation officer, I'm community corrections, I'm a therapist, I'm a nurse, that they're all coming together to heal these people. What work? When you talk about justice tempered with mercy, what work is more important than the work that this group is doing? There is magic in this room tonight. There's magic in LaPorte County. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for inviting me up here. And gentlemen, I can't wait to see you graduate. Congratulations.
There was a time when people in the justice system viewed addiction as a moral failing. They thought punishment alone could stop people from using drugs and committing crime. This began to change the moment treatment courts invited treatment professionals into the courtroom. For 30 years, treatment courts have been proving grounds for new ideas and innovations. You adapted the treatment court model to keep our roads safe, reunite families separated due to addiction, assist tribal communities, and ensure our veterans receive a true welcome home. Today, you have made it possible for justice reform to become an issue most Americans can agree on, and you continually answer the what-if questions others were unwilling to ask. What if we didn't give up on someone just because they have a criminal record? What if judges were able to spend more time with each person in front of them? What if we responded to relapse with additional services instead of revoked probation? What if prison was truly a last resort? What if police officers could help reverse overdoses? Treatment courts opened the door for sentencing reforms, harm reduction strategies, and restorative justice principles to sweep the United States. Treatment court professionals are and have always been problem solvers, but there remain many more problems to be solved. And now more than ever, the justice reform movement needs us to lead.
Before I introduce our graduates, I want to say a few words about each of them from the team and from myself. Will, you started the program in February of 2023, and when you started, you had been through a lot, and you made it clear that you were ready for something else, and you committed yourself to this new life. You immediately began addressing your health issues that you had long neglected. I just want to stop for a minute. Wow. You realized that boredom was a trigger and you were going to have to keep busy. So you went to the library, you got a library card. You went back to church. Expressing your faith had always been important to you, and you knew that you had to reestablish, as Dale mentioned, that connection as part of a healthy routine. You looked for a job and you concentrated on your recovery. One thing you did that doesn't always happen, you went in search of your recovery. You did not expect it to come to you. You were active in going to meetings and looking for ways to exercise your mind and your body. And outwardly, it looked like you were doing well. Inwardly, you told me you were just a little bit overwhelmed. You said giving up control was a hard thing for you to do. But what seemed like you losing control was, in fact, you slowly changing your habits and building a new life where you really were in charge. You just couldn't see it at the time. one of the things that was weighing heavily on you was your family, specifically your brother. You had both gotten into trouble and wound up facing jail and substance use disorders. You were very worried about him. Not long after you began, your brother was also accepted into the program. Now, we'd never had brothers in the program at the same time where they were both successful. It's a difficult dynamic, and we did all that we could to make sure that you were each able to walk your own path to recovery and not interfere with the success of one another. At the time, you knew it was going to be up to each of you to do what you had to do. Patience was very difficult for you, as it is for most of us. But once you understood that the big changes occur over a long period of time, and they can only occur if those small changes happen all the time, then you started setting goals and achieving them. Aside from working on your patience, your other major task was setting up boundaries. And that was certainly a challenge. There was some trial and error, but you got better at it. You began to do things just for you. You got a car, you set up a budget, you got a bank account, you got a sponsor. All those were just for you. About 6 months into your journey, you told me that you were not just working on changing, you were working on changing the way you saw yourself. And you told me that practicing honesty was helping you to be a man of my word, and that meant something to you. You started doing things you'd been afraid of before. You got a dog. You started volunteering at the PAX Center, which has been a huge blessing for both of you. I remember the first time I met your grandma. She was your date to a local theater event. She is so proud of you. After a year, you were less anxious and you found it was easier to break old patterns. You started chairing meetings. Now, things were not always perfect. You got off track a bit, but with every misstep or roadblock, you were able to handle it and see it as an opportunity for growth. By 18 months into the program, you were fully in control of your recovery. You knew what boundaries were, and you knew why they mattered. The Will who walked into my courtroom 2 years ago is gone. And for the most part, I think you were very happy to see him go, because you recognize that this Will can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. You have become a role model for many others. You know what you need to do to maintain your life. Don't ever take it for granted. You will be deeply missed. Congratulations. And please come see us once in a while. Now, for those of you who were left wondering, well, wait a minute. What happened to Will's brother? Were they both successful? How's he doing? Where's he? He's right here. And he's proudly graduating with Will this evening. This is a first, and we're so pleased to celebrate the two of you. Thomas, you came into the program in July of 2023. You were very motivated when you started, and that never really changed. You also began initially addressing the medical needs that you needed to do. From the beginning, you had good insights into your triggers. And in that first few months, I asked you what you were learning, and you told me being responsible for my actions, doing the next right thing, paying my bills. And that last one came in very handy, and it was important because you had significant restitution you had to pay before you could graduate from this program, and you have done so. You got a job, and you quickly decided that now is as good a time as any to stop smoking, since you were addressing all of your health concerns. As time went by, you found that you were struggling a little bit with balance as well. You took suggestions, and you began to expand your sober community. And that's not easy. You are by nature shy. But you recognized that if you wanted recovery, you were going to have to get out of that comfort zone. Much to your surprise, it wasn't quite as hard as you thought it might be. You told me that when you were spending time with positive people, you noticed that your whole mood and outlook on life became more positive as well. You began to attend a new relapse prevention class that was started. You found a lot of support there, and in turn, you gave a lot of support to others. You had some surprises along the way with some old issues that came back, but you handled them with responsibility, and I think you were pleasantly surprised at the positive outcome. You approached the one-year point in the program, and you told me that in addition to learning the importance of people, places, and things, like your brother, you were going to struggle with patience a bit. Patience has helped you to take on your most important role, the role of responsible parent, and that has meant the world to you. You worked on a bucket list for Carissa. I know you're building on that. You have consistently worked on techniques to help you with your day-to-day anxiety, which helped the big picture. Last September, you told me that once you graduated, it would be the first time in 15 years that you would not have any charges hanging over your head. You were so thrilled at that thought, but it wasn't magic. It was your hard work. You've always been a kind and thoughtful person, but I think only recently were you truly able to appreciate the small things that you missed while actively using. You now appreciate and cherish the times with your little girl, your family. You've been able to reestablish a wonderful relationship with your brother. The photo you took is an example of a picture being worth 1,000 words. As I said earlier, you and Will came to us at different times with different needs, each on your own journey, unable to help yourselves or save each other. Part of what makes problem-solving court so remarkable and unique in the world of criminal justice is that it allows us to take the science of chemical addiction and the best practices of therapeutic treatment, meet people where they are. No two people are alike. You and your brother weren't, but you each took the opportunity that was offered to get your lives back on track. You're role models for so many people. They look at you and they say, if you can do it, so can I. We're very proud of you. We're also going to miss you. Stay honest, keep your boundaries. Congratulations, and come see us. Matt, you joined the program shortly after Thomas did in 2023. And I remember, well, what I remember most about your early time in the court was your gratitude for being able to be here. For any number of reasons, it looked like you might not be able to come into the program. Your attorney and this team fought hard for you to get admitted, and you have taken advantage of every moment you've been here. You started by getting a job and doing what you needed to get your driver's license back. One of the things that was a motivating factor for you is getting your daughter back in your life. And like everyone else in recovery, you learned pretty quickly that patience was going to play a big role in that one, too. You were able to stay focused on the basics, and as time went on, you told me you were pleasantly surprised at how things were starting to fall together. You experienced something that many people in your shoes experience. Someone who was close to you told you, you can't do this. You're not going to be successful. You used that and you turned it around to keep pushing and motivate you to be here today. In the midst of working sometimes 10 and 12-hour shifts, you were able to do everything that was required in this program. And you told me because you were taking one day at a time, you were able to remain calm when anxiety hit. You started putting plans in place for when you would have your daughter back physically and financially, and you were ready. As time passed, you told me that as much as you had always wanted sobriety and a new life, you were also had always been scared that maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe you couldn't get it. As you began to expand your sober community, you realized with this support, I do have the opportunity, and I am worthy of recovery. All your efforts paid off. You've now become the constant presence in your daughter's life that you have hoped for. Every challenge you faced in recovery is something that you know you could only have done because you were sober. In addition to growing and meeting each challenge, you found out so much about yourself. You've done things you never imagined, things that have made you a better employee, friend, partner, and father. All of the things you've worked for have happened. You've turned your life around, Matt. You're able to do what you set your mind to now because of your hard work. Your relapse prevention plan is solid, your support system is strong and growing, and your commitment to recovery is front and center of your life every day. It has been an honor for this team to work with you. Congratulations. From time to time, we have people who graduate who are unable to be at celebrations because of work or school. Anne is one such example. On her first day in court, she told me one of her goals had always been to someday be an EMT, but she feared that that might never happen because of the charges against her. On her final day in the program, she beamed as she told me she would begin her EMT classes in 3 weeks. And as much as I would love to have her here tonight, she was briefly here to meet her arresting officer. She had to scoot over and take a midterm that she's looking forward to hopefully passing tonight. So although she couldn't be here, she did have a few things that she wanted her case manager to read to you on behalf of herself. Carissa's going to come down and read that.
So Anne wanted those pictures up while I spoke because she figured it would show the support, dedication, and compassion of this team, not just in the courtroom, but also in her child's life as well. I would like to start by saying I'm very sorry I was unable to make it to graduation, but this program has given me the opportunity to follow through with my original goal and take my final course before being certified in a field I've dreamed to be in. Without problem-solving court, this midterm exam would not be possible. So I give great thanks to this program and the team that worked so hard to get me to where I am today. I personally have been diagnosed with a substance abuse disorder, complex PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I've had the disorder since I was about 15 years old when abuse happened, and I didn't know how to cope with it. I did not know I had a substance abuse disorder until 2018. I knew I'd wanted to stop using substances, so from 2018 through late 2019, I'd completed 4 rehab stays, 3 intensive outpatient programs, and even a sober living attempt in Indianapolis. I could tell you all you needed to know about getting sober and even about drugs themselves, as well as the effects on the body, but I personally could not stay sober for long. After the last sober living, I had about 18 months of no substances, was in a relationship, working and doing online school, but little did I know that I had no idea what a healthy relationship looked like or even what normal was. I relapsed in 2020 and figured I'd failed so many times at trying to get sober in rehab that I would just see if I could ride this out and it would go away. It did not go away. I was disappointing my family every day, becoming friends with people who lived a horrible lifestyle and doing things I would never do sober. I didn't even know who I was anymore. Something happened over the summer of 2021 that was traumatic, and I knew it was due to the life I was living and the people I was around. So I was determined to stop using. I got a good job, I took on school, I had 3 weeks of sobriety, but yet again, I could not stay sober. I soon became somebody I didn't recognize in the mirror. In the fall of 2021, I had my first and only arrest. I detoxed for a week in LaPorte County Jail and swore that would change my life and I would never touch anything again. But the cycle continued. Within 30 hours of being out of jail, I was back to using again. Every day I tried to stop, but the drugs had completely taken over me. I was not around the people doing criminal activity anymore, but I was still using the substance. December 8th, almost exactly 1 month following my arrest, I decided it was time for me to go to rehab. I was done with this life. I felt I was at rock bottom while I was on pretrial release and in active addiction again. Checking into rehab, I found out I was 4 weeks pregnant with my son. I left rehab after 2 weeks because my child's father was not being the kindest person. I felt I was unable to focus and had to leave to try and fix things with him. Winter of 2021, after an argument that ended up with me in the ER, I moved into my parents' basement. I was determined to give this baby a good life. I started waitressing at a local restaurant and attended Women's Care Center for classes because I didn't know the first thing about being an adult, let alone a mother. I was also attending AA and Celebrate Recovery. I was still trying to make things work with my child's father, just living in separate cities. He was just diagnosed with some pretty intense mental health disorders and admitted he needed help. Unfortunately, that help was not consistent, and he didn't go back for further diagnosis. March 2022, I signed my plea agreement with Judge Stallbrink. Going into that courtroom, I didn't know I was looking at 9 years if I failed, but if I completed, he would dismiss the charges and I would be able to finish my certificate work in the chosen field and then go on for further schooling. Honestly, I had no idea what drug court was, but I had to do life math very fast, and as I stared at the judge, petrified. I knew I wanted to give my baby the best life I could, so I quickly decided, I'm in. Shortly after, I met with Judge Friedman and Carissa Strader, and they explained the program to me. Pure fear entered my entire body. I didn't know anyone who had a good experience with the courts, let alone drug court. What are the chances I could complete this program? I was already committed and knew this was the only way to give my child the life he deserved. The program was hard in the beginning because I had zero trust in this team. I had such a fear of being incarcerated for so long, and I was too afraid to open up in therapy. Even though I was afraid, I learned how to function as an adult while dealing with multiple doctors, probation, court every week, working 2 jobs in the beginning, attending AA, drug testing, women's care center classes, and participating in Doombrook. I believe every addict has a reason that they use. My personal reason was PTSD. I was afraid to open up about a lot of it to anyone. When I opened up about some of my trauma to Paula and a small bit with Carissa, I didn't get the response I had gotten in the past. I received empathy and understanding. The program helped me to realize this was more than just a substance abuse disorder. I was using because I had PTSD, and when I'm triggered, I will do anything to stay out of my head. I owe a great thanks to Paula Dranger, who continues to work with me weekly on past traumas and helps me even on random days and times I call. She's been very dedicated and genuinely helping me. Carissa also went above and beyond in helping me through some of the hard days with phone calls and messages. She has taught me about life in general, helped with advice for many things, and helped me gain respect for myself by living a life of integrity. Every single member of this team has helped me in multiple ways, and I owe all of them a huge thank you for their hard work and dedication. The team taught me that there's more to a healthy relationship than just sobriety, and even though I played a big part in the problems in all my relationships, it did not mean that I was the only problem. They taught me how to set boundaries and how to make some big decisions for me and my child. The entire team gave me an immense amount of support through some really hard times in my life. Watching how much compassion Judge Greta Friedman has for all of her participants while still having strong boundaries has shown me that I can do the same and follow through with my dream of helping people. During drug court, I had 2 babies, a boy in August of 22 and a girl in October 24. Being a drug court participant and a completely single parent of 2 babies was hard, but well worth it. I knew I had a dream of finishing school. I personally think that right now my calling is not only to be a mom, but to also help people. I've been able to keep the job I'm at for 3 years now, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without drug court teaching me how to be a responsible adult. Because of this program, my children and I are thriving. I'm rebuilding relationships with family and friends and being the absolute best parent every day I possibly can. The team taught me it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. I will never be a perfect person, but I strive to be a better person every single day. Thanks to this program, I'll be working hand in hand with law enforcement and fire department in the near future, having the opportunity to help people. I'm currently taking my midterm exam for the class that Judge Stallbrink told me in March of 2022 that I could complete if I was able to complete this program. I'm happy my life math took us to drug court.
Thank you. And again, thank you to the other judges here who refer people to this program. You play an incredibly important role. As we begin to wrap up our ceremony, one of the most powerful moments in graduations across the country is when the arresting officers or someone from their department come up to the front to shake the hands of the person that they previously put in handcuffs. The officers appreciate the opportunity to see their efforts come full circle. Graduates often tell them, "Thank you. I couldn't see it at the time, but you saved my life." I'm not sure who we've got. I know we have Corporal Babcock, if you want to come up here. I think Detective Fish, possibly Detective Samuelson, Chaplino. Anybody else?
Deputy Polina.
Deputy Deputy Helena? Oh, come on in. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I can't tell you what your present does for these folks. So come on up and shake everybody's hand.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you so much.
And they put me in jail, and they shuffled 5 felony warrants under the door for me. I realized that I was facing just over 20 years of prison time. I sat in jail for 3 months, went to court for all those charges in all 3 different court venues. While I was in there, my mom heard about the program called Drug Court. The judge asked me a specific question. He told me, "Do you have kids, Mr. Gonzalez?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Do you have a picture of those kids, Mr. Gonzalez?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "If I let you in this drug court, I want you to carry a picture of those kids with you everywhere you go. And every time you think about drinking or doing drugs, you pull that picture out." And the light went on, and I finally realized something. I finally realized I've been making a choice all my life over my family and everything else. It was me that was making that choice. When I didn't believe it, when I didn't want it, and I didn't care if I had it, they still freely gave it to me. The numbers speak for themselves, but it's the people. It's the people you see and you see that succeed and go on and lead positive lives and give back to the community and their families. I wouldn't have my family if it wasn't for drug court. I wouldn't have them. They were done with me. They didn't want me. And I don't blame them. But today, I'm with them every day, every single day. How do you measure that? How do you measure that by dollars? You can't. It would have been a lonely 16 years in prison.
Before we close with some music, I want to specifically thank Chief Justice Rush for being here, for supporting all problem-solving courts in this community, recognizing the importance of what all problem-solving courts do. Thank you so much. I want to also thank Alco, who is taping this. So for family and friends who couldn't be here, you'll be able to find it on YouTube in the next few days. And finally, I want to take a moment to thank the families and the friends. These graduates did the work, but you had to sit on the sidelines and you had to watch. And you had to have immense faith that the small miracles were happening, even if you couldn't see them. Thank you for your patience, for your courage, your trust in this program, and your trust in your loved ones. Thank you for not giving up on them. Matt, Will, Thomas, thank you for your efforts. They have not just changed your lives, they've changed ours as well. Because of your efforts, we're safer, we're better. Our community is healthier, and it's stronger because of the changes that you've made. Nelson Mandela is known to have said, "Once a person is determined to help themselves, there is nothing that can stop them." And that certainly applies to our graduates tonight. I'm sometimes asked by people who are interested in the program, well, what can I do? I mean, how can I help? It seems like an overwhelming problem. And the answer that I almost always give is a simple one. Be kind. Be kind. You don't know how your words can impact somebody who's struggling. We all know someone. We all love someone. We all work with someone who's struggling. So on a day when they may be ready to hang up that towel, throw it in, give up, a kind word or a gesture from you might be the thing that gets them through that day. It costs nothing. It takes no specialized training, and yet it might be the most important thing you do that day. So, as we close, I want to thank my good friend and pastor at LaPorte First United Methodist Church, Pastor Tim Allemeyer, to come up and share the message of kindness with all of us.
I got the song wrong. I brought The Climb.
Well, that's fine, too.
Will that be okay?
That's
I like Glenn Campbell better than Vince Dixon, if that matters. But I do like Vince Dixon. Matt and Tom Will, on behalf of, and this is a lot of liberty I take, but on behalf of the pastors and the churches and all the people, we are so proud. We're so proud of you. All right. And Chief Justice, I would just tell you, wherever you go to church, whoever your pastor is, ask him to preach at some point on judges, because in the Bible, judges are supposed to do exactly what you talked about. The judges are supposed to solve problems. So thank you for your words. It's called The Climb by Vince Dixon, guys. Standing high on a mountaintop, looking and sorry about that. Looking back and wonder how you made it up and you smile. It's been a crazy ride. Sometimes you walk, sometimes you ran. Sometimes you needed a helping hand, but you learn all things in good time. You got one life to get around. There ain't no joy in falling down. But hey, we all had those days. So put your face against the wind. Embrace this world you're living in. You never know what at each new peak you'll find. You may need to change your path sometimes. Don't ever stop the climb. I bet you guys can relate to this. You've been around, you try to hide the scars, but in the end they're part of who you are, and you know we're all the same. It's never how high you climb, it's who there's walking by your side, and you know you don't make this trip alone. You got one life to get around. There ain't no joy in falling down. But hey, we all had those days. So put your face against the wind. Embrace this world you're living in, for you never know what at each new peak you'll find. You may need a helping hand sometimes. So every smile and every tear, every hope and every fear are the footprints left on this path of moving on. How you come back from the fall, the moments that define us all, They're the lessons when we're lost that make us strong. You got one life to get around. There ain't no joy in falling down. But hey, we all have those days. So put your face against the wind. Embrace this world we're living in. You never know what at each new peak you'll find. You may need to even crawl sometimes. Amen.
Thank you again. We have cake and water. I hope you'll stay, visit with your friends here. If I could ask you three to stay just for a minute before you leave. So thank you again. This means so much to these graduates. Thank you.